Well, here now to discuss more is former Chief of Police at the Dallas Police Department, Renee Hall. She's also former Deputy Chief of Police at the Detroit Police Department and the president of the National Organization of Black Law Enforcement Executives. Great to see you. Thanks for joining us. And also, we have Seth Baronswey. He's a constitutional law and trial attorney. Thank you so much for joining us. Appreciate you both being here to share your perspectives. Thanks.
Thank you.
So, Seth, we'll start with you and your reaction to the Trump administration deciding to leave the sitting police chief in charge of the department. Legally, what was behind this?
Well, I think that although the D.C. government is really pitching and hyping this as a win, I really think that the administration, the White House, really got most of what they wanted anyway. All they did was they just gave away as a bargaining chip by saying that they're not going to formally remove the chief of police here in Washington, D.C. However, a lot of the mechanics are still going to remain in place. This is a really interesting situation because in these cases, which ultimately I believe the White House will win, there's a similar case pending on the West Coast. Here in D.C., it's really a question of two layers of law. State law, the D.C. Home Rule Act, and federal law in the background. Both of those, as a common denominator, provide the president and the federal government with the authority to step in and provide assistance in instances of emergency unrest, civil unrest, and or protection of federal property or personnel. And that's what we have. In fact, earlier today, the president of the union for the Metro Police Department here in Washington praised President Trump for coming in and providing much needed assistance. The thing that I find so interesting is that when President Trump goes through the legal lanes to try to support the police, he's met with lawfare. And here you have a situation where this mayor is more interested in protecting bumbling bureaucrats than actually having the backs of the brave police and the local citizens. So there was an interim agreement yesterday. I think the administration got most of what it's wanted. The case will continue to be pending here in Washington with more activity this coming week.
Renee, I'm going to let you weigh in here. The D.C. Police Chief Pamela Smith is slamming the directive by Trump's Attorney General Pam Bondi and D.C. Attorney General Brian Schaub, directing officers to only follow orders of officials appointed by the mayor. So who should MPD officers be reporting to? What's the proper chain of command here?
Well, let's be clear. The people of D.C., the democracy, elected Mayor Muriel Bowser, and they unanimously approved the appointment of Chief Pam Smith. This is who these individuals in the city of D.C. or the area of D.C. depend on. This is who they trust. This is who they look to for leadership. This is who has established collaboration and trust in the community. And we have to put this in perspective. The D.C. is not experiencing an extreme crime wave. They're down 19% by the Council on Criminal Justice, 19% in homicides since this time last year. And overall violent crime down about 26%. Now, let's put it in perspective. The perception of crime and actual crime do look and feel different. And the goal is to ensure that if people don't feel safe, that we put the measures in place to ensure that they are safe. And this police chief, this police department has done that. And so the takeover seems aggressive, but the community has a department and a leader to look to ensure that they have what they need as it relates to crime reduction, and that's what's important.
And Renee, we're showing some pictures, a full screen of some numbers that back up exactly what you say, that violent crime is down in our nation's capital. However, the crime is still very high, and it seems like every other weekend we're reporting on a carjacking or a beating or a shooting or something happening here. And Seth, if you can remind us the special authority that the president would have over D.C. that he would not have over some other city.
Well, under the D.C. Home Rule Act, he has a 30-day interim period of time to assert his authority as he's doing, and he really does have most of that process extended under the interim agreement, and then Congress has the right to extend that beyond 30 days. But if I can also compact that with what was just said a moment ago, I have to respectfully disagree with what was stated with regard to some of the statistics and the current status of crime in Washington, D.C. First of all, there is an ongoing controversy going on right now where there are serious questions as to whether or not the statistics and the data that's coming out of the department are accurate. Secondly, if you look at some of the statistics coming out of Washington and some of the most recent developments, you can see Washington, D.C. has the 7th highest homicide rate of any jurisdiction in the United States. There were 2 individuals that were slaughtered on the street who were members of the Israeli embassy, and they were just murdered in cold blood. Carjackings are chronic here. They're a significant problem. So and we don't blame the police. The police are trying to do a great job, and the union president is saying that he's thankful to the president. So while we can agree to disagree on what the data is, I believe that the president will win because he is following the law and he's turning square corners in terms of what can happen. If he goes beyond 30 days, he has to get approval of Congress.
Renee, this is an especially important story to our viewers who don't necessarily live in Washington, D.C., but this is our capital. We want to have pride in it. We want to feel safe bringing our kids there, you know, have D.C. be a tourist destination and foreign dignitaries to come and be happy that they are there and feel safe as well. I think Americans really just want it to be cleaned up and not to have crime and not to have homelessness everywhere. Is there a way that everybody can work together here for the common good of cleaning up D.C.?
So let me be clear. Noble's perspective is to ensure, our mission is to ensure the equity of justice and the administration of justice. But I just want to push back a little bit here. Everyone wants to ensure that crime is a minimal or non-existent all across the country. But there is a collaborative effort that goes into that. Washington, D.C., state, federal, local government work together, and we get the best outcomes when everyone comes to the table alongside of the community to see what actually reduces crime. There have been some successes, and that is what you want to continue. But when you bring in federal agents who have no relationship to the community, who have no idea where crime is being committed, and you push out the individuals who do this on an everyday basis, the leader who is deploying resources, and individuals who have no community engagement and community partnerships established, this is not how you solve crime. You have to make sure that we're listening to the residents of that community of what it is that is plaguing their areas for them. We can't forget our government leaders are meant to serve the people. They're meant to serve the people. Renee Hall, that is what a democracy is.
Thank you so much for joining us and for your spirited debate. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
More news.